Hello, and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast. I'm Joe, your sommelier of a reasonably priced wine, and for this special episode, I am on my own as my wine pairing partner in crime is busy making cakes for her Baby Cakes micro bakery, which, by the way, you can learn more about if you head over to her website, lovebabykakes.com. But I digress. Today, we are going to introduce you to Lenny Recanati and Kobi Arviv of Recanati Winery. Lenny is the owner of the winery, and Kobi is the head winemaker. Lenny Recanati started his eponymous winery in 2000 in Israel, using both well-known grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, as well as less-known grapes like Carignan. Now, as a quick orientation to what we usually do on our podcast, because this isn't usual, in most episodes we learn about, taste, and review 2 to 3 wines that are reasonably priced, which means under $25 each, and should be easy to find. However, for this special set of episodes, we interview people who are involved in actually making wine, because part of what we want to do with our podcast is to educate ourselves and you on different aspects of wine knowledge in a fun, entertaining, and unstuffy way. Maybe even fun and entertaining, as Decanter Magazine has called our podcast, and that's what we're doing today. And a small plug before we get to the interview with Lenny and Kobi. If you like what you're hearing or are interested in hearing our other regular episodes, please subscribe or follow our podcast so you can hear more, especially since you're only getting one half of the Wine Pair podcast in this episode, and not the good-looking one either. You can also go to our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, to send us a note or subscribe to our newsletter, and you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at the Wine Pair Podcast. And if you like what you're hearing, you can even leave us a nice rating and review. How about that? We won't mind. But let's get on with our interview with Lenny and Kobi. Hi, Lenny and Kobi, and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast.
Good morning, and nice to be here.
Thank you very much. We're so happy and honored to have you with us, and we're really looking forward to learning more about both of you and the wonderful wines you make. And you're actually the second Israeli winery and winemakers that we've had the pleasure of speaking with. So this is kind of exciting, but we're really interested in hearing your story, learning more about your wines, and helping our listeners discover you. So let's just jump in. We'll learn a little bit about you. Let's start with you, Lenny. If you wouldn't mind to tell us a little bit about you, your background, maybe if wine played any part of your life growing up, and then we'll ask Kobi.
Okay. I was actually born in New York. My father was a student here studying engineering, and my mother grew up, she came from left Europe during the Second World War, her family passed through Cuba, and then from Cuba they moved to New York. So she spent quite a few years. She went to college here, and that's where they met. And at a very early age, I moved back, I moved to Israel as a small child. And I grew up there. I was exposed to wines in Israel when I was growing up. My father was a CEO of a shipping company. And at the time, the industry was almost non-existent. Although there were a couple of wineries, but the quality was terrible. And he used to bring wines from abroad. And they used to drink, not during the week, but once in a while. They used to open a nice bottle of wine. And I still remember in the basement, we had a little niche where he used to store the wines. And also we had in our garden, we had some vines growing. And we had a Portuguese guy working for us in Israel. And he used to make wine from it. There were eating grapes. But he used to make wine from it. It was a white wine, and that's how I was exposed to it. And when I grew up, I loved visiting wineries, traveling and visiting wineries, talking to winemakers, talking to owners of wineries. And I've always wanted to do it. It was a dream of mine to have my own. Also, I wanted to do it in Israel as a project to build a winery. I think we have a very good terroir in Israel. It's a very small country, but it's so diversified. You have in the north, you have mountains with snow, and in the south, you have desert. You have the Dead Sea. So you have really a lot of microclimates in Israel, that's what makes it so interesting. that you have so many different kind of wines from different regions in Israel. And in 2000, there was this opportunity. Somebody with the passion that I have came up and said, let's build a winery. This great winemaker, this actually guy who studied at Davis, an American guy who was in Israel at the time. And we decided to build the winery. So we started in 2000. 2000 was our first vintage. We mainly did classical varietals at the beginning. And that's how we started. And the rest is history. Now we make a lot of varietals. We moved on from the classical varietals. After all, wine has been made in the region for thousands of years. There's a lot of old, excavations of signs of wine producing. So we started making wines from Mediterranean varietals afterwards, and then we looked into finding indigenous varietals. We found quite a few indigenous varietals, and we zeroed in on two that made great wines. First wine was a Marawi, which is a white wine, and the red wine is called Bituni, and these two varietals exist only in Israel. So we've evolved in 2000, it's almost 25 years of winemaking. We've grown from nothing to a winery that makes about 120,000 cases. We export 25% of it. Half of what we export goes to the United States, and the rest goes all over the world, like Europe, Asia, South America, Australia, China. And we're very happy with what we've done. We're still very young. It's not a tradition in this industry, obviously. We still have a lot to learn, but I think we've achieved quite a lot in the short time we've been making wine. We've been invited to the Wine Experience in New York 8 years in a row. We have wines that get scores of over 90 from all the top magazines, publications, and we're working hard to make good wines. We have Kobi has been with us for a long time. He grew up in the winery, but maybe Kobi will tell you about himself better than me.
So yes, I actually joined Recanati Winery in 2006. I grew up, as Lenny mentioned, in the winery. In 2008, I became the Stellar Master, the one who managed all the production from the harvest to the bottle. In 2012, I promoted to be one of the winemakers in the team. And since 2016, I'm the head winemaker. And we just moved to our new location, new facility that we built in the Upper Galilee in 2022. It was the first vintage after more than 20 years in the center of Israel. So we moved to be close to the vineyards.
So, Kobi, you said that you grew up in the winery, but were you in the area? Did you study winemaking, or was that just something that you were just around?
So I'm self-taught. I study actually winemaking in Israel in Tel Hai, which is a college, and I inspired a lot from different regions in the world, mainly the old world, mainly France. Italy. I like to try and to know cooler region, and yes, I'm very happy to be part of it.
And did you, when you were learning to make wine, what was influential to you? What set you up as a winemaker, or how you think of yourself as a winemaker?
I think I try to keep it simple, to keep the sense of place. It's very important for us to define the terroir that we have, the diversity that we have in Israel, as Lenny mentioned. And we are trying to do elegant wine, gastronomic wines, not too heavy, not too jammy, which is unusual in our condition in Israel, because we are a warm climate.
Yeah, I imagine that is difficult. It's true. I was thinking of that Israel is so warm that it's difficult not to make very ripe, very rich and fruity wines. So we'll talk about that a little bit more because I'd love to hear more about the wines that you make. But Lenny, back to you. You know, when you started the winery in 2000, but that wasn't the business that you were in. So how did you decide that starting a winery was something that was, you wanted to do?
It was a hobby of mine all the years, and I loved collecting wines and visiting wineries. As I said before, I when I first started, I'll go back. I come from a private equity background. We make investments in different fields: technology, real estate, industry, services. But for me, the winery was something else. At the beginning, I didn't look at it as a business. I looked at it as came from passion, something I love. Until you make money, you call it a hobby. And after you start making money, you call it a business. So happily, it's both now. To make money, and it's a hobby, and something which I love tremendously. Like Kobi said, we built a new winery in the Upper Galilee in the north. Really beautiful winery with surrounded by vineyards, with beautiful landscape all around. We're 4 miles from the Lebanese border in the north. We went through difficult times in the last year. Our visitor center, we had to shut down 2 weeks after we opened it, and we had to postpone the opening of the festive opening of the winery. Although the winery was functioning all during this time, we continued to do what we had to do. We had 2 vineyards that were damaged during the hostilities. One was very close to the border and was too dangerous to go in, so we couldn't do any pruning or couldn't do any work on the vines. And the second vineyard was damaged by tanks, knocked down the fences, and wild boar and cows came in and ate all the crop. So that was upsetting. But we move on, they'll grow back, and we'll continue. This is a life of having a winery. Yeah, so like I said, it's I always love visiting the winery. I go there once or twice a week. It's about 2 hours from where I live. And I was like just sitting down. We have a fantastic veranda with a beautiful view, and just sitting there. And
One question I have for you is I don't know that a lot of people realize that there's wine, in fact, quite a bit of wine made in Israel. What are some things about Israeli wine that make it special or unique or that people should know about? And that's for both of you to answer.
we have, I would say, over 300 wineries in Israel. Most of them are small boutique wineries. People travel, since it's a small country. So people travel a lot all over the world. They experience wines. They know about wines. Their palate is evolving over the years. Where I would say most Israelis like heavy, jammy wines and some semi-dry wines. This is changing. People are looking now for more elegant wines, food-friendly wines,
Easy to drink.
Easy to drink. We have the kind of weather that I would say go very nicely with white wines and rosé wines, and the quality has really gone up and it keeps going up. And like I said, we such small and diversified terroirs in Israel that we have all kinds of wine, different wines, and some. I think the industry is really evolving and producing some amazing wines. A lot of wines are successful in Europe and in America, and very well accepted. In the last wine experience with three Israeli wineries, such a small country, it's a lot, which shows that people appreciate their wines. A few years ago, one of our wines was in the top 100 of the Wine Spectator. Other wineries also achieved this over time. So it shows that people are noticing us. And, it takes time. At the end of the day, wine is image, a lot of image, and the country still doesn't have the image of a wine-producing place. It'll take time, but hopefully we'll get the recognition that I think Israel deserves.
Kobi, this is a question for you. Of the wines that you're making at Recanati, what are some wines that you're just very proud of, that you feel really express you as a winemaker, what the winery and the area should be known for?
Actually, we had a very nice investment in vineyards, new regions. So there is no one wine or one area. I can tell you. Actually, I'm very proud of all of them, from the entry level to the top wines. We just released now top area. It's called Odem, which is the northest place in Israel, the northest vineyard in Israel. And actually also in the mid-range, under $20 Seria, which is Upper Galilee Seria, Cabernet Merlot varietal Seria. We invest a lot to get better in our vineyards and to elevate our quality. There is no only one wine.
It's like asking a parent who's your favorite child,
And
Are there certain types of grapes? I'll go back to you, Kobi. Are there certain types of grapes? You talked about the indigenous grapes, Lenny, but are there certain types of grapes that you feel do really well in the area where you're growing and really express themselves well in your wines?
For sure. As Lenny mentioned, the winery started his way in 2000 when it founded with the international and famous varieties like borderless varieties, mainly Cabernet, Merlot, Sauvignon Blanc. And actually, we try to define our style and to learn about our condition in Israel. So in 2009 was the first turning point for us with Carignan, wild Carignan, that mainly used in Israel from other big wineries as an entry-level variety because its productivity, because it's a high-yield option. Grow, but we took it to a different place with low yields, dry farm, Goblet vineyard, and we start to elevate and focus on Mediterranean warm climate varieties such as Marselan, that we were the first one to produce Marselan in Israel. We planted the first plot in 2009, and 2012 we actually released the first Marselan in Israel. We had Petit Syrah, so more warm climate varieties that support our style and our vision in our condition in Israel. In 2014, actually, it was for us, if we look back on our timeline, the second turning point with the indigenous grapes. We were the first winery to produce Marawi, first Marawi. In 2016, we had the red variety called Bituni. And actually, in the last 10 years, we are trying to elevate our quality and to be much more precise with our production.
But Mels, we have all kind of climates in Israel. It's like our Odem vineyard is at an elevation of over 3,000 feet, and it's cold there in the winter. It snows, and we have Riesling there. In 2026, we can use the first fruit. So and we have a Syrah that we harvested this year. So even though in general Israel has a warm climate, you find pockets of in areas where it's cold and where you can grow varietals that grow well in cold weather. Like Riesling, for example.
Yeah, we're trying to get the advantage from each different place, each different region. And because of that, we focus on mainly borderless varieties in Odem. High elevation, it's more 1,000 meters.
We have cabs in Odem and Merlots, which is already our second release this year. So 21.
First one was 2020.
The first one was 2020, now it's the 21. And they show very nicely. So you can almost make any varietal in Israel with the kind of microclimates we have.
So one question I wanted to ask is how do you try to create these elegant wines, and you mentioned that it's a difficult thing to do in the climate, in the warmer climates. How do you do that? Like what is your approach to make the wines? What do you do to make the wines turn out the way that you want them to?
Actually, for example, in the vineyard, we are growing our vines as an open canopy to protect the grapes from the sunlight, and it helps us to keep the freshness at the end. In the winery, we focused a lot of free run without mechanical press to avoid the bitterness and the unbalanced tannins that you can get. Long aging, but in large format. I mean, large barrels, 500 liters, aging for 18, 20, 24 months. So we are trying to actually keep the freshness of the fruit from the harvest till the bottling time.
I would say also we harvest earlier than most wineries. That's the sugar level. You have to find the right moment, so you have the phenolic ripeness and the right sugar level. You'll see when you taste the wines, the very elegant wines.
Actually, the challenge in Israel, as Lenny mentioned, because we are warm climate, the sugar accumulation goes faster than the phenolic flavors. So if you choose the right position to plant your vineyards and you manage them well with the early harvest, if we need to compare it to other wineries in Israel, for us it's the accurate time to get what we want. But definitely you have what to do to protect the freshness and to create the elegant style.
And then you mentioned the two indigenous grapes. For wine fans who don't know what those wines may taste like, would you say that they're similar to anything?
Yeah, I think for me, for example, the Marawi is similar to Chenin Blanc or Certico. It's non-aromatic grape variety. It's mineral and with some saltiness, part of its character. And the Bituni, I think, belong to the family of the floral grape varieties, such as Pinot Noir, Gamay, Austrian Blaufränkisch, Hungarian Horschler.
Wonderful. I think that helps paint a picture of the wines. Lenny, I have a question for you. Is there a story behind your logo? I noticed your beautiful logo. Is there a story behind that?
Tell him the romantic story.
People ask me if it's like a family emblem or something, from the past. But I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's not. It's a very simple story. My ex-wife actually designed it. It was old ceramic piece from Spain that was in our kitchen, and there was a design on it. And she took it from there and developed it, and we like it.
It works. The inspiration came from just your own home, and it's a beautiful. I think it's a very beautiful logo.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But now the circle closed with the new facility that a Spanish company built it for us. We took a Spanish company to build our new facility.
I see. So just a couple more questions. One is one that we like to ask people that we interview. So if you ever come to Seattle, and we hope someday you do, we will invite you over for Sunday night dinner. Now, Lenny, your last name, you said this when we were getting ready. It's Italian, and my wife's family background and my family background are Italian. So every Sunday night we have a Italian dinner, kind of several courses, usually start with a pasta and then have a meat course or a fish course. And so we're inviting you over. We mean this very seriously if you ever come to Seattle. But what we really want to know is what wines of yours would you bring to share with us and why?
It's a good question. We have wines that go with almost every kind of food. If it was a seafood, let's say if you were in Italy, in Sicily, or in the region that has seafood, we have a wonderful Sauvignon Blanc, very crisp, very nice acidity, goes great with seafood. We have the great Chenin Blanc also, which goes nicely. And if it was like heavy, pasta and meat and like in the winter. We have our autumn Cabernet Sauvignon is amazing. We have a special reserve, which is a blend of Cab and 4 Mediterranean varietals, Marcelin and Carignan, Syrah, and Petit Syrah. It goes wonderfully with heavy food or heavy meat dishes, pasta bolognese. And we have a mid-range level Upper Galilee series, which has a wonderful Syrah. These are wines for less than $20. There's a Petit Syrah, which is wonderful, goes very nicely in Israel. We also have a Cab in that series. We have a Merlot in that series. Yeah, and if it was somebody very important to me and I wanted to make, spoil them, I would bring them. We have a new wine called Jacob, which is named after my father. A wine named after my father obviously would be the best wine that we can make. It's a very small quantity. It's 95% Cab and 5% Carignan. The first wine we came out with is 2017, which just came out a couple of months ago. It's, I hope you'll taste it very soon. We're starting to sell it now in the States. It's a pricey wine, but it's a wonderful wine. And so if it's somebody very important, I wanted to spoil them, that's what I would bring.
That's a perfect segue, because the last question I'd like to ask you is, how can we find your wines? Where can people, especially, we have a lot of listeners in the U.S., we have listeners around the world, but how can people find your wines and learn more about it?
First of all, you can look up on our internet
website, the Recanati
Winery website. You look up Google Recanati Wines. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and you can buy our wines at Union Square Wine and Spirits, Total Wines. We're in a couple of Costco's. You can buy wines through kosherwine.com. We are mostly on the kosher shelf, even though I'd like to say that we have quality wines that happen to be kosher and not necessarily stress the kosher bit of it. So, yeah, we're all over the place. You can find us really almost everywhere.
Well, that's great. I'm sure our listeners will be very excited to find them. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time. I know we're on the other sides of the coast, so you're in New York and we're in Seattle, but we appreciate you taking the time and talking with us.
I hope to be in Seattle sometime soon. Never been. I've heard a lot of good things about Seattle. And I also love wines from the region there. So,
you come and we'll show you around.
Okay, looking forward.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Well, thank you very much for listening to our interview with Lenny and Kobi. And just in case you were worried about memorizing all the website or email or all that stuff to get in touch with them, don't worry. You can find out all of this information on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, in our show notes for this episode. So just look for this episode, scroll down, and you'll find this information. But so you have it now, here is the information about how to find out more about Recanati Winery. The website is www.Recanati, that's RECANATI-winery.com. On Instagram, it's at Recanati Winery, and email is info@recanati-winery.com. And so we hope you'll visit them, and we also hope that you liked what you heard and you'll subscribe to our podcast, The Wine Pair Podcast, and follow us on Instagram and visit our website at thewinepairpodcast.com, where you can reach out to us and sign up for our newsletter. And you can always reach out to me at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com if you want more information. And we look forward to hearing from you. We love to hear from our listeners. We always respond, so we hope to hear from you soon. But for now, it's time to go. And as we like to say, life is short, so stop drinking shitty wine. Bye-bye.